Ethan had never seen anything like it. The moment his boots touched the alien soil, he felt a strange mix of fear and awe. The ground beneath him shimmered with a faint crystalline glow that pulsed like a heartbeat. Trees stretched high into the sky, their branches twisting like intricate glass sculptures, reflecting the sunlight in colors he had never known existed. Strange birds, or something that looked like birds, flitted among the branches, leaving trails of luminescent dust in the air. The air itself was alive with energy, humming softly, almost as if the planet itself was breathing. He checked his scanner again. Every reading confirmed the same impossible truth. This was not just another planet in a remote star system. It was a hub of intelligent life, far more advanced than Earth. Humans had dreamed of discovering alien civilizations for decades, but nothing in his training prepared him for this. And now, standing at the edge of the alien city, he could feel a weight pressing down on him. The sense that he had stepped into a world where rules were entirely different. Ethan adjusted his suit, trying to steady his racing heart. The city was unlike anything he had imagined. Buildings spiraled upward like the inside of a seashell, their surfaces shimmering with strange patterns that seemed to move when he looked at them directly. Bridges arched gracefully between towers, and hovering vehicles glided silently along invisible pathways. He took a cautious step forward, every sense alert. The streets were quiet, but he could feel movement around him, subtle shadows that did not belong to any human or known animal. Suddenly, a voice echoed in his mind, not spoken aloud, but somehow clear, direct, and undeniably real. "Why do you avoid me, human?" Ethan froze. The words were calm, yet carried authority that made him shiver. He scanned the area, expecting to see someone, or something, nearby. But the street was empty. His heart pounded. Then he saw her. She appeared from the mist of glowing lights, her form tall and elegant, her skin shimmering like liquid silver. She walked toward him with effortless grace. Her eyes were luminous, shifting colors in a way that was almost hypnotic. She carried herself with confidence, yet there was a softness to her presence, as if curiosity, not anger, guided her steps. Ethan took a step back, instinctively raising a hand in greeting. I didn't mean to," he started, but the words caught in his throat. "Do not fear," she said, and now the sound was not just in his mind, but in the air as well, melodic and resonant. "I am the queen. I watch. I understand. I observe. And yet, you avoid me." Ethan swallowed hard. His training told him to remain calm, to assess the situation, but something about her presence made him feel exposed, as though she could see every thought in his mind. I didn't know. I didn't mean to avoid you," he stammered. The queen tilted her head slightly, studying him. "Curious, you are human, you are cautious, yet there is courage in your hesitation, and something else. A spark that is unusual." Ethan frowned. "A spark?" he asked, unsure if he wanted to know the answer. She smiled, a slow, knowing smile. "Yes, a spark of unpredictability, of creativity. You act without perfect calculation. It is intriguing." He could not help but stare. Humans were rarely seen as unique in the galaxy. Most species he had studied treated humans as fragile, unremarkable, or primitive. But this being, the queen, she regarded him with something entirely different. It was respect, curiosity, perhaps even fascination. I don't know what to say," Ethan admitted. "Say nothing," she replied softly. "Just observe, learn. Perhaps one day you will understand why I am interested in you." Ethan took a cautious step closer. The air around her seemed to shimmer, responding to her presence. The ground beneath her feet sparkled as if alive. He felt an odd connection, as if the planet itself approved of her being here. And yet, the questions raced through his mind. Who was she, truly? Why was she speaking to him, a simple human explorer, with such attention? And most importantly, what did she want from him? "I don't even know how I got here," he confessed. "My mission was just to observe, not to interfere?" she asked, finishing his sentence. Her voice was calm, but there was a sharpness to it that hinted at immense power. "You interfere simply by being here. Your species, your kind, leaves marks, ripples. Even small actions carry consequences." Ethan swallowed. "I didn't mean to—" "I know," she interrupted, "but meaning is not enough. Action is what matters." She paused, her gaze piercing yet not unkind. "And yet, you did not act rashly. You observed. You waited. You calculated in your own human way. That is promising." He realized that she was testing him, not with words, not with force, but by her very presence. Every motion, every gesture she made seemed designed to measure him, to gauge what made a human different from her species. And in that moment he understood something vital. She did not see humans as inferior. She saw them as interesting. Why me?" he asked quietly. "Because you are human," she said simply. "Because your kind possesses qualities that my people rarely see. Courage, yes. Creativity, yes. Empathy, yes. But above all, unpredictability. You are not bound by rigid logic alone. That is what fascinates me." Ethan felt a mixture of pride and fear. He had never considered humans to be remarkable in the eyes of the galaxy, yet here was a being of immense power, telling him exactly that. I don't know if I deserve that," he whispered. "Deserve has nothing to do with it," she said. "You exist. That is enough. Your choices, your actions, your way of thinking, they matter. And perhaps, if you are willing, you may teach my people something they do not yet understand." He felt his pulse quicken. Teach? The idea was daunting, yet thrilling. Humans were young in the galaxy, often overlooked, but here was a chance to prove something, to show what made them unique. And somehow, despite the fear gnawing at his mind, he felt a spark of determination. I will try," he said finally, his voice firmer than he expected. The Queen's eyes seemed to glow brighter. "Good. That is all I ask." She extended her hand, not in threat, but in invitation. "Walk with me. See my world. Learn what it has to offer. And perhaps I will learn from you as well." Ethan hesitated, then took her hand. The moment their fingers touched, a surge of energy passed through him. Not painful, not frightening, but invigorating. The city seemed to come alive around them. Lights pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. The wind carried whispers of thoughts, images of the city's history, and flashes of alien life in ways he could barely comprehend. As they walked together, the Queen spoke of her people, of their history, and of the countless civilizations they had encountered across the stars. Ethan listened, absorbing every detail, every nuance. And though he felt small, insignificant even, he also realized that humans had something no other species possessed, a balance of instinct, intellect, and heart. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. They reached a terrace overlooking a crystalline lake, its surface reflecting the alien city like a mirror of impossible beauty. The Queen stopped, turning to face him fully. "Humans are different," she said softly. "Not better, not worse, different. That difference is powerful. If you learn to harness it, if you understand it, you may shape the future of countless worlds." Ethan stared at the lake, at the city, at the alien queen who had somehow reached inside him and stirred something he had never known existed. He realized that his journey was only beginning. He had not come here seeking glory or adventure. He had come to explore, to understand. But now he understood something else, that humans, fragile and imperfect as they were, carried within them a spark that could change the galaxy. The Queen smiled, a gesture both reassuring and challenging. "Rest now, human. Tomorrow, your true test begins." Ethan nodded, still processing the encounter. He watched her disappear into the glowing city, feeling a mixture of anticipation, fear, and excitement. The world around him was alien, yet he felt a strange sense of belonging. He was a human, yes, but perhaps, just perhaps, being human was exactly what the galaxy needed. And with that thought, he closed his eyes, letting the soft hum of the alien world lull him into sleep, unaware of the adventures, challenges, and revelations that awaited him in the days to come. Ethan awoke to a soft light filtering through the crystalline canopy above. The alien city around him pulsed gently, as though greeting him to a new day. The air smelled of minerals and strange blossoms, a scent both sweet and metallic. Every sound, every shimmer of light seemed to hum with energy, reminding him that this world was alive in ways Earth could never be. He stretched and took a deep breath. Yesterday's encounter with the Queen lingered in his mind. Her words, her gaze, and her calm yet powerful presence had left a mark he could not ignore. She had said his species was different, unpredictable, and powerful in ways rarely seen. That thought both excited and terrified him. Humans were young in the galaxy, yet here he was, being singled out by a being of immense intelligence. As he made his way through the twisting paths of the city, he noticed that the streets were beginning to fill with activity. Alien citizens moved with grace, their luminous forms gliding over the glowing walkways. Some emitted faint patterns of light from their skin, a language of emotion he could barely comprehend. Others carried strange instruments that seemed part technology, part living organism. Ethan realized that this city was not just a home, it was a living organism, with every being and every structure connected to the whole. A soft voice interrupted his thoughts. "Ethan!" He turned to see the Queen approaching, her form shimmering as she walked. She gestured to the path ahead. "Come. Today you will see more of my world, and perhaps you will begin to understand why your kind fascinates me." He nodded, careful not to let his nervousness show. I am ready." The Queen led him through the city, showing him towering libraries filled with energy-based knowledge, gardens where plants seemed to respond to thought, and streets where vehicles moved without drivers, sensing the intent of those nearby. Ethan tried to absorb everything, but the sheer scale and strangeness of it overwhelmed him. Finally, they reached a plaza at the center of the city. The ground beneath them pulsed softly with light, and the air shimmered as though charged with anticipation. "Here," the Queen said, "you will face your first challenge. Do not be afraid. There is no danger unless you create it." Ethan's stomach tightened. "A challenge?" he asked. "Yes," she replied, her eyes reflecting a spectrum of colors. "A test of human ingenuity. My people have seen many species across the stars. Some rely entirely on logic. Others rely entirely on instinct. Humans, you blend both. That is rare. That is why I wish to see how you adapt." Before he could respond, a platform rose from the ground, hovering in the center of the plaza. On it was a map of the surrounding region, forests, mountains, rivers, and strange structures. "You must retrieve the artifact from the Valley of Mirrors," she explained. "It is guarded, yes, but more than that, it tests perception, reasoning, and creativity. You will need all of your human qualities to succeed." Ethan studied the map. The valley was vast, filled with shifting terrain that seemed almost impossible to navigate. Creatures of light flitted across the landscape, some friendly, some indifferent, and others potentially dangerous. He swallowed hard. And what happens if I fail? The Queen's expression softened. Failure is part of learning, but humans rarely fail in the ways others expect. Your species surprises even me. With that, the platform descended to the ground, and Ethan stepped onto it. The air around him hummed, and the platform began moving, carrying him toward the edge of the city. The Queen stayed behind, watching, her luminous eyes following every movement. The journey to the Valley of Mirrors was long. Ethan passed through forests where the trees bent toward him, as though curious about his presence. Streams of water glowed with soft light, revealing shapes beneath the surface that darted like living gems. Birds with wings like ribbons of energy glided overhead, their songs forming patterns in the air. Every step was a lesson in observation, teaching him that this world responded to thought, intention, and emotion. Finally, he arrived at the valley. The landscape was breathtaking and unnerving. The ground reflected the sky perfectly, creating illusions that made it impossible to judge distance at a glance. Giant crystals jutted from the earth at impossible angles, bending light and sound. Shadows moved independently of their objects, and the wind carried whispers that were almost voices. Ethan felt a shiver of both excitement and fear. He took a deep breath. This was the moment to prove himself. The first obstacle appeared almost immediately. A chasm spanned the path ahead, wide and shimmering with mirrored surfaces that distorted reality. Ethan studied it, noticing subtle patterns in the reflections. He realized the key was not to jump blindly, but to observe how the illusions moved in response to his thoughts. Using his understanding of angles and perception, he carefully navigated across, stepping only where the illusions revealed safe footing. As he reached the other side, a creature of light appeared. It resembled a wolf, but seemed made entirely of energy. Its eyes glowed softly as it circled him, testing his reactions. Most species would attack or flee, but Ethan remembered the Queen's words. His uniqueness lay in blending courage, empathy, and creativity. He crouched slightly, extended a hand, and spoke softly. The creature tilted its head, emitting a low hum, then allowed him to pass. Deeper into the valley, he encountered a river that reflected not the sky, but his own memories. As he gazed into it, he saw flashes of Earth, his childhood, his family, his training, and moments of fear and joy. The water tested his focus, but he realized that to succeed, he had to accept both his fears and his strengths. Drawing on human resilience, he concentrated on the path ahead and stepped carefully across stones that emerged only when he approached with calm determination. Hours passed, though time felt uncertain. Ethan faced obstacle after obstacle. Walls of light that shifted in impossible patterns, creatures that required careful negotiation rather than combat, and landscapes that tested his perception. Each challenge forced him to think differently, to rely on intuition as much as logic. With every success, he felt a growing sense of confidence. Finally, he arrived at the heart of the valley, a chamber filled with a single artifact resting on a pedestal. It was a crystal, pulsing with energy, reflecting not the light of the valley, but something deeper. A reflection of understanding and insight. Ethan approached it slowly, aware that the final test was not physical, but mental. As he touched the artifact, visions filled his mind, the history of the alien civilization, their triumphs and failures, their knowledge of the stars, and the ways they had attempted to understand other species. But among the visions, he saw something unexpected. The Queen herself, watching, learning from his approach. She had designed this challenge not just to test him, but to see how a human would think, act, and adapt. Ethan realized then that humans were not only capable of surviving in a world designed to challenge them, they could excel in it. Their creativity, intuition, and empathy allowed them to find solutions no other species could imagine. And in that moment, he understood why the Queen had been interested in him. Humans were unpredictable, but in that unpredictability lay potential, a spark that could ignite new possibilities. He lifted the artifact, and the chamber responded. Light filled the valley, reflecting across every crystal, every mirrored surface, and every flowing river. The creatures of the valley paused, observing, acknowledging the human who had succeeded where many would have failed. Exhausted but exhilarated, Ethan made his way back to the city, carrying the artifact carefully. Along the path, he noticed subtle changes. The landscape seemed less hostile, more curious. The valley had recognized him not as an intruder, but as a participant, a being capable of learning, adapting, and teaching in return. When he returned to the plaza, the Queen awaited him. Her form shimmered brightly, her gaze both approving and analytical. "You have done well, human," she said, "not because you followed a path, but because you created your own. That is what makes your species remarkable." Ethan handed her the artifact. I just tried to survive, to understand, and in doing so—" "You demonstrated the qualities we value," she interrupted. "Courage, ingenuity, and empathy. You see the world not only as it is, but as it could be. That is the human gift." He felt a swell of pride, but also humility. He was only one human among billions, yet here he was, proving something vital to an entire civilization. I don't know what to say." "Say nothing," the Queen replied softly. "Actions speak louder than words, and your actions today will be remembered." She paused, her gaze shifting thoughtfully. "Tomorrow, your next challenge will test not just your skills, but your understanding of others. Are you prepared to continue?" Ethan nodded, feeling a mixture of anticipation and excitement. "Yes, I want to learn, and I want to show you what humans can do." The Queen smiled, a gentle, approving gesture. "Then rest. For tomorrow the journey continues. And remember, Ethan, it is not enough to succeed. You must inspire, to show that humans carry something unique into the galaxy, something worth seeing, worth understanding, and worth celebrating." Ethan watched her walk away, her form dissolving into the shimmering light of the city. He realized that this world, so strange and wondrous, was now a place where humans could matter in ways he had never imagined. And in his heart, he felt the spark of determination growing stronger, a spark that would guide him through the challenges to come, and perhaps change not only his destiny, but that of his species. The sun, or what passed for a sun on this alien world, was low in the sky, casting long shadows across the crystalline city. Ethan stood at the edge of the central plaza, the weight of the previous day's success heavy on his shoulders. He had completed the Queen's first challenge, navigating the Valley of Mirrors with nothing but human ingenuity, empathy, and courage. Yet now, standing before the Queen once more, he sensed that this was only the beginning. "You have done well," the Queen said, her luminous eyes reflecting his image as he stood nervously before her. "But today, the trial is different. Today, you will not face illusions or terrain alone. Today, you will face life itself." Ethan swallowed hard. He had survived the valley through observation and intellect, but now he sensed that the challenge would test something deeper. The Queen gestured to a set of gates that shimmered with energy. Beyond them lay a vast, untamed expanse of wilderness, mountains, forests, rivers, and strange floating islands. "Within this region," she explained, "creatures roam freely. Some are dangerous, some are curious, some will seek to communicate. You will need to act, not just think. You must balance caution with courage, empathy with logic, and initiative with understanding." Are you prepared? Ethan nodded, feeling a rush of both fear and excitement. I will try my best. The Queen smiled faintly. You will need more than your best. You will need your human spark. With that, she stepped aside, and Ethan entered the trial grounds. Immediately, the environment pressed upon him. The air was thick and vibrant, humming with life. Trees moved subtly, their branches almost alive, brushing against him as if testing his awareness. Rocks shifted slightly underfoot, and creatures of light and shadow flitted at the edges of his vision. Ethan's senses heightened as he realized that everything in this space responded to observation and intention. The first obstacle appeared quickly, a river, wide and roiling with luminous currents. Floating islands drifted above it, each one shimmering with color and energy. The only way across was to leap from island to island, but each surface reacted differently to pressure and thought. A single misstep could drop him into the glowing waters below. Ethan paused, studied the patterns, and focused his mind. He remembered the lessons of the Valley of Mirrors: observation, empathy, creativity. With careful steps, timing each jump to the rhythm of the floating islands, he crossed safely. On the far side, a creature emerged. It was massive, with translucent wings that reflected the environment like liquid glass. Its eyes were wide and intelligent, observing Ethan as he approached. Most species would have feared it or tried to drive it away, but Ethan noticed something remarkable. It was not hostile. It was curious. He crouched slightly and extended a hand, a gesture he had learned instinctively during the previous challenge. The creature tilted its head, humming softly, and for a moment their thoughts seemed to meet. Ethan realized that empathy, the ability to understand another being's intent, was as crucial as any physical skill. Slowly, he moved past the creature, leaving it unharmed, and continued deeper into the wilderness. Hours passed. Ethan faced obstacles that tested every aspect of his being. Some were physical, climbing sheer cliffs that bent and shifted, navigating forests where the trees moved to block or guide his path. Some were mental, puzzles that required insight into the environment and the creatures within it. Some were emotional, situations that demanded empathy, courage, and intuition, often simultaneously. At one point, he encountered a young alien, no more than a few years old by their reckoning, trapped in a glowing trap of energy. Its cries echoed through the trees. Many explorers would have ignored it, focusing on the path ahead, but Ethan knew that humans were defined not only by intellect, but by compassion. Carefully, he approached the trap, observing the patterns of the energy field. Using logic and intuition together, he manipulated the environment, guiding the young alien free. It nuzzled him briefly, then darted away, leaving Ethan both relieved and more aware of the weight of responsibility he carried. The trial was relentless. At times, Ethan felt exhausted and overwhelmed. Shadows stretched unnaturally, creatures loomed at every turn, and the landscape itself seemed determined to test his every instinct. Yet, through it all, he discovered something remarkable. His human qualities, creativity, empathy, courage, adaptability, were more powerful than he had realized. Where logic alone would have failed, where strength alone would have been insufficient, his combination of traits allowed him to navigate and survive. By midday, he reached a canyon that opened into a vast plain, glittering with energy crystals. At its center stood a structure unlike anything he had seen, a tower of living crystal, pulsating with vibrant light. Ethan instinctively knew that this was the focus of the trial. The Queen had not merely tested his skill, she had led him to the heart of understanding, a place where action, thought, and empathy converged. As he approached, the crystals around him began to shift, forming pathways, bridges, and obstacles. Ethan paused. The trial now required not just reaction, but creation, using his mind to influence the environment in a meaningful way. He recalled the Queen's words, "It is not enough to succeed. You must inspire. You must show that humans carry a spark others do not." He closed his eyes briefly, focusing not on fear, but on possibility. Slowly, the pathways formed in ways that seemed to respond to his thought. He stepped forward carefully, each movement deliberate, blending instinct with observation. Shadows shifted. Creatures paused. And the very air seemed to recognize his presence. Halfway through the structure, a challenge unlike any before appeared. A wall of light, shifting constantly, blocked his path. But embedded in the wall were faint patterns, almost imperceptible, that responded to emotion and intent. Ethan realized that brute force or logic alone would not work. Instead, he approached with empathy and intuition, projecting calm and focus. The patterns aligned, the wall opened, and he moved through. Finally, he reached the top of the tower. The view was breathtaking. The entire valley stretched before him, alive and vibrant, every crystal, creature, and landscape visible in radiant clarity. At the center of the platform lay a sphere of energy, pulsing with life. Ethan approached and placed his hands on it. Visions filled his mind. The history of the alien civilization, their achievements, their struggles, and their understanding of the universe. And yet, within the visions, he saw the Queen observing him, recording, learning from his choices. It became clear the trial was not only about physical skill or intelligence, but about human perspective, the ability to act creatively, courageously, and empathetically in situations where other species might fail. Ethan realized that this moment was a revelation. Humans, fragile and imperfect as they were, possessed something unique. They could adapt, empathize, and innovate in ways that no rigid or purely logical species could. Their unpredictability was not a flaw. It was a gift, a spark that could ignite new possibilities across the galaxy. He removed his hands from the sphere, feeling a surge of connection to the world around him. The valley seemed to hum with approval, the crystals resonating with a warmth he had not felt before. Creatures watched him quietly, acknowledging his success. The trial had not only tested him, it had recognized him. When he returned to the central plaza, the Queen awaited him. Her presence was calm, yet commanding, her eyes glowing softly. "You have done more than succeed," she said. "You have shown that humans are more than their limitations. You are brave, inventive, and compassionate. You are remarkable." Ethan felt a mix of pride and humility. I just tried to do what seemed right," he said. "I didn't know if I was doing anything special." The Queen smiled, a soft and approving gesture. "That is exactly what makes it special. You do not act out of desire for recognition. You act out of understanding, courage, and empathy. That is what your species carries, a spark others rarely possess." Ethan stood silently for a moment, absorbing her words. He understood now why the Queen had been interested in him from the beginning. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but in their unpredictability lay creativity, courage, and compassion. Qualities that could shape civilizations, influence worlds, and inspire change in ways no other species could. "Tomorrow," the Queen continued, "you will face your final challenge in this trial. It will require not only skill and intelligence, but trust in yourself and in others. Are you ready to continue?" Ethan nodded, feeling a surge of determination. "Yes. I want to continue. I want to see how far I can go." "Good," she said. "Rest tonight, human. The next step will test everything you have learned, and more. Remember this, it is not enough to act. You must inspire, teach, and show the potential of your kind. That is what makes humans special." As she departed, leaving him alone in the glowing plaza, Ethan felt a deep sense of purpose. He was not merely surviving or completing a trial. He was proving something greater, the potential of humanity, its resilience, creativity, and heart. And with each step forward, he realized that his journey was not just about him, but about showing the galaxy what humans could truly become. For the first time, he felt the weight of responsibility, not as a burden, but as a spark of hope. Humans were young, yes, but they carried within them the potential to inspire, to adapt, and to thrive in ways no one else could. And as he looked toward the horizon, toward the challenges yet to come, he felt ready. Ready to prove that humans were not just another species in the galaxy. Humans were extraordinary. The air in the city was still, almost reverent, as Ethan made his way back from the trial grounds. His steps echoed softly across the glowing streets, and for the first time he noticed how quiet the city had become. The citizens seemed to watch him from a distance, curious but respectful. It was as though the valley and the trial had left a mark not only on him, but on the world itself. The queen awaited him at the edge of the central plaza. She stood tall, her luminous form reflecting the light of the surrounding crystal towers. Unlike before, she did not speak immediately. Instead, she watched Ethan approach, her gaze thoughtful, measuring not his speed or strength, but something deeper, something human. "You have returned," she said finally, her voice soft, yet resonating with authority. "Not as you were before. Not as the visitor who first stepped into my city, unsure and cautious. You have changed." Ethan nodded, unsure how to respond. I have tried to learn, to do what is right," he said. "I did not know if it would be enough." The queen's eyes glowed brighter, shifting through colors like the dawn sky. "Enough?" she repeated. "Do you truly think your actions are only measured by success or failure? You have done more than that. You have shown the qualities of your kind, qualities rare and remarkable across the stars." Ethan swallowed hard. "Qualities?" "Yes," she said, stepping closer. "Humans are different from most species I have encountered. Other species rely heavily on logic, instinct, or rigid structures. Humans, you are unpredictable, but not recklessly so. You combine thought, emotion, courage, and creativity in ways no other species does. That is why you succeeded where others would fail." He looked down, embarrassed but proud. "I just tried to survive, and to help where I could." The queen smiled faintly. "And in doing so, you demonstrated the essence of your kind. Courage without arrogance, intelligence without rigidity, compassion without weakness. Humans are fragile, yes. Imperfect, yes. But in that imperfection lies strength. In that unpredictability lies potential. You are a spark in a galaxy often bound by rules, and that spark is powerful." Ethan felt a warmth rise in his chest. He had never thought of humans in this way. Earth often seemed small, insignificant. Humans had always been young in their understanding of the universe. Yet here he was, being told that his species carried something extraordinary, a potential that even civilizations far older than Earth could recognize and admire. I don't know what to say," Ethan admitted. "I never imagined humans could mean so much in the galaxy." The queen's eyes softened. "It is not about what humans mean now. It is about what humans can become. Your species is young, yes, but your spark is unmatched. It can shape worlds, inspire civilizations, and bring change where none was thought possible. You have seen only a glimpse of it, but I see the possibilities." Ethan's mind raced. "So, you've been testing me all this time?" he asked. "The valley, the trial, It was to see if humans really have this spark? She nodded slowly. Not to test in the sense of failure or success, but to understand, to observe, to learn how your kind acts, thinks, and survives. You humans are unpredictable, yes, but in that unpredictability lies creativity and resilience. I wanted to see if it was innate, and you have proven it is. He exhaled, a mix of relief and awe. And now? Now, the Queen said, turning to gaze across the city. I wish to learn from you as well. Humans carry perspectives that my people rarely understand. You act, not always with certainty, but with intuition. You consider others in ways my species rarely does. You take risks, yet temper them with thought and care. That balance is rare. Ethan felt a deep sense of purpose. The Queen was not only recognizing him, but the potential of humanity as a whole. I don't know if I can teach a species like yours anything, he said humbly. You will not teach with words alone, she replied. You will teach by example, by presence, and by choice. The actions of one human can inspire understanding, respect, and cooperation across worlds. That is what I ask of you. Ethan considered her words carefully. So, what you are saying is that humans are capable of more than anyone else might think. Exactly, she said, a faint smile forming on her lips. You are young, fragile, and often underestimated, yet your unpredictability, empathy, and ingenuity make your species extraordinary. Where others follow patterns, humans create possibilities. Where others fear risk, humans take it with courage. And where others see limits, humans see potential. Ethan felt a strange mixture of humility and pride. Earth seemed so small, yet the Queen's words made him feel that even the smallest human could shine in the vast universe. I want to understand more, he said. I want to see how humans can make a difference. The Queen's eyes glowed with approval. That is why I brought you here. Not merely to observe, not merely to survive, but to recognize the uniqueness of your kind. And in doing so, perhaps to inspire my people and others to understand that humans are not merely one among many, but something rare. She gestured to the horizon, where the alien city stretched like a tapestry of light and life. You have seen only a part of what this world can teach you. But the true lesson is not the landscape, the creatures, or the trials. It is the understanding that humans carry within them the ability to act with courage, creativity, and compassion, even in the most uncertain circumstances. Ethan nodded, absorbing her words. He had faced illusions, challenges, and creatures designed to test him. Yet the most important lesson was clear. Humans had something other species could not replicate. It was not technology, strength, or even intelligence alone. It was the combination of mind, heart, and instinct, the ability to balance risk and care, thought and empathy, imagination and action. I think I understand, he said quietly. Humans are unpredictable, but that unpredictability can create solutions, inspire others, and change outcomes in ways that nothing else can. Exactly, the Queen said, her form glowing softly. And that is why your kind fascinates me. Your species carries potential that can influence the galaxy in ways few others can. You act without certainty, yet your actions carry meaning. You care, yet you are willing to take risks. You think, yet you feel. That is the human spark. Ethan felt a shiver run through him. To hear such words from a being of her intelligence and experience was both humbling and exhilarating. So, you see humans as special? He asked cautiously. The Queen's gaze softened. Special is one word. Rare, valuable, unpredictable, remarkable. All of these describe humans, not better than others, not worse, but different in ways that can shape the universe. And you, Ethan, are a living example of that difference. He looked down, unsure how to respond. I never thought humans could matter this much out here, he said softly. You matter, the Queen replied, her voice gentle yet firm. And your kind matters. You are young, yes, but your potential is vast, and potential, when guided by courage, empathy, and ingenuity, can shape entire civilizations. Ethan felt a surge of determination. He had come to this world as an explorer, uncertain and cautious, but now he understood his purpose. Humans were not just observers or learners in the galaxy. They could be creators, problem solvers, and innovators in ways no one else could. And he had the opportunity, the responsibility, to show that spark to the Queen, to her people, and to the universe itself. The Queen stepped closer, her luminous eyes studying him carefully. Tomorrow, she said, your final trial will begin. It will test not only what you can do, but who you are. You will face situations that challenge your courage, your empathy, and your creativity simultaneously. You must trust yourself, and trust that the spark within you, within humans, is enough. Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. I will try. I want to show that humans can rise to the challenge. Good, the Queen said softly. Rest tonight, Ethan. For tomorrow, you will not only face a trial of skill and intelligence, but a trial of heart. And remember this, humans carry within them something rare. That rarity is not a gift to hoard, but a spark to share, to inspire, and to guide others. If you understand that, you will succeed. As she departed, leaving him in the soft glow of the plaza, Ethan felt a deep sense of clarity. The challenges of the Valley of Mirrors and the trial grounds had tested him physically, mentally, and emotionally. But the true lesson was revealed here. In the words and presence of the Queen, humans were extraordinary not because of strength or logic alone, but because of the combination of heart, mind, and courage, a spark that could ignite change wherever it touched. He stood quietly, gazing at the horizon. The city shimmered, alive and vibrant, a reflection of a world that responded to understanding, action, and presence. And within him a spark burned brighter than ever, the spark of humanity, ready to face the challenges to come and to prove that humans were not just survivors, but pioneers, innovators, and beacons of possibility in a galaxy yet to be fully understood. The air in the alien city felt different that morning. It was brighter, lighter, as though the world itself was aware that something important was about to happen. Ethan stood at the edge of the central plaza, feeling a mixture of anticipation and calm. The lessons of the valley, the trial grounds, and the revelations of the Queen had prepared him. Yet he knew that the final test was not one of skill alone. It was a test of humanity itself. The Queen appeared, her form radiant in the morning light. Ethan, she said, her voice warm but commanding, today you will face the last challenge. It is not merely about what you can do, but about what you represent. Your actions, your choices, and your heart will be measured. Are you ready? Ethan nodded. I am. I will do my best. The Queen smiled faintly. Your best is enough. Remember, it is not enough to act. You must inspire. You must show the spark that makes your kind unique. With a wave of her hand, a portal opened before him. Beyond it lay a realm unlike any he had yet seen. The landscape shifted constantly, like a dream in motion. Mountains rose and fell, rivers flowed in arcs that defied gravity, and creatures of light and shadow moved in patterns both beautiful and strange. Ethan realized immediately that this challenge was different. It was a world designed to test everything he had learned: courage, empathy, ingenuity, and trust. He stepped through the portal, feeling a rush of energy as the world around him responded to his presence. Every movement, every thought seemed to shape the environment subtly. He recalled the Queen's words. The human spark was not just intelligence or strength, but the combination of mind, heart, and courage. He would need all three to succeed here. Almost immediately, a dilemma presented itself. A bridge of light stretched over a deep chasm, but it was unstable, shifting with every step. On the other side, a group of small luminescent creatures were trapped, their path blocked by a barrier of energy. Ethan's first instinct was to focus on his own crossing. It would be faster, safer. But the spark within him, the spark the Queen had recognized, urged him to think differently. He studied the bridge carefully, noting the timing of its pulses and the patterns of the energy barrier. Using both observation and intuition, he began to move. With each step, he adjusted his balance, predicting the shifts in the light. Reaching the center, he extended a hand toward the trapped creatures, projecting calm and reassurance. The barrier responded to his intent, slowly fading as he continued forward. The creatures emerged cautiously, their movements fluid and curious. One brushed against his leg in a gesture of trust. Ethan smiled, feeling the warmth of connection. This trial was more than physical. It was a test of empathy and leadership. Humans were not only problem solvers, they were capable of building trust and inspiring cooperation, even with beings whose forms and thoughts were utterly alien. As he guided the creatures across the bridge, another challenge appeared. A labyrinth of floating platforms hovered above a glowing void, shifting and rotating unpredictably. To cross, Ethan had to rely not on brute strength or rigid calculation, but on observation, creativity, and patience. He noted the patterns, predicting the rotations and movements, and timed each leap with care. When one platform wobbled dangerously, he adjusted, using momentum and balance to stabilize it. Halfway through the labyrinth, a large creature emerged, its form massive and imposing, yet intelligent and curious. Its eyes studied him, and Ethan sensed a test. It was not aggressive, but it would not move aside. Most explorers might have tried to fight or flee, but Ethan remembered the Queen's words. Humans were defined by their balance of courage, empathy, and ingenuity. He crouched, extended a hand, and spoke softly. The creature hesitated, then emitted a low hum, tilting its head in acknowledgement. Ethan moved past it carefully, respecting its presence. Every action mattered. Every decision reflected the human spark that the Queen had spoken of. At last, he reached the center of the realm. A platform rose, glowing with a brilliant light. On it sat a crystal sphere, radiating energy in waves that seemed to respond to thought and emotion. Ethan stepped forward, feeling the hum of the world around him intensify. This was the culmination of the final trial, the test of human essence, not only skill. As he touched the crystal, visions filled his mind. He saw the history of the Queen's people, their achievements and failures, and their encounters with countless civilizations. He saw the stars, planets, and species that had come and gone, and then, amidst these visions, he saw humans. Earth, the people he knew, their hopes, fears, and dreams. The crystal reflected not just his actions, but the potential of his species. He realized something profound. Humans were more than observers. They were creators, innovators, problem solvers, and leaders. Their unpredictability was not a flaw, but a strength. Their courage, empathy, and creativity could inspire civilizations, forge alliances, and spark change across the galaxy. And he, as a representative of humanity, carried that spark into this alien world. The crystal pulsed, sending waves of light through the realm. Creatures paused, the landscape shimmered, and the air seemed to vibrate with recognition. Ethan had not merely completed the trial, He had embodied the qualities that made humans unique. When he stepped back, the queen appeared beside him. Her form glowed brighter than ever, her eyes filled with approval and something akin to pride. "You have succeeded, Ethan," she said softly. "Not because you followed instructions or completed a challenge, but because you demonstrated the essence of your kind. Courage, empathy, creativity, and intuition. These are the gifts humans carry. And you have shown them here." Ethan felt a swell of emotion. I didn't know I could do all this," he said. "I just tried to act as humans do, carefully, bravely, and thoughtfully." "And that is exactly why you succeeded," the queen replied. "Other species may follow rules, calculate risks, or rely on strength. Humans, you combine these things in ways that are unpredictable and powerful. Your spark is rare, Ethan, and it will continue to shine wherever you go." He looked around at the realm, now calm and radiant, the creatures observing him with curiosity and trust. "So, humans really can make a difference?" he asked quietly. "Yes," the queen said, "and you have shown me that difference firsthand. You have not only survived challenges, but inspired life and harmony in ways that others could not. That is the mark of your species, the ability to shape your environment and those around you with creativity, courage, and heart." Ethan smiled, realizing the weight of what he had accomplished. He had come to this world as an explorer, uncertain and cautious. He had faced trials, dangers, and puzzles. But now he understood his role. He was a representative of humanity, showing that his species carried a spark that could inspire and influence civilizations. The queen extended her hand, not in command, but in invitation. "Come, Ethan. It is time to return to the city. There is one final gesture of recognition I wish to offer." He followed her back through the shimmering streets, the citizens observing silently, their luminescent forms reflecting respect and curiosity. When they reached the central plaza, the queen gestured toward a pedestal where a small glowing device rested. "This," she said, "is a symbol of trust, understanding, and recognition. It is a token of your journey, and a reminder that humans carry within them a spark that can shape the galaxy. Take it with you, and let it guide you, as your actions have guided others here." Ethan approached and carefully lifted the device. It pulsed gently in his hands, warm and alive. He felt a connection not only to the queen and her people, but to something larger, the potential of humanity itself. "Thank you," he said softly. "I will honor this, and I will remember what it means." The queen nodded. "I know you will. Remember this, Ethan. Humans are young, yes, but their spark is unmatched. You have shown me courage, empathy, creativity, and intuition. You have proven that your species can rise to challenges that others could not imagine, and that is why you are remarkable." Ethan felt a swell of pride and humility. He had not only faced trials, but discovered something profound about his own species. Humans were not perfect, but they were extraordinary in ways that could influence worlds, civilizations, and the galaxy itself. As he prepared to depart, the queen asked quietly, almost as a question to herself, "Will you return?" Ethan smiled, feeling the truth in his heart. "Yes," he said. "If the galaxy needs the spark humans carry, I will return." She nodded, a soft glow surrounding her form. "Then go, Ethan, and carry the light of your kind wherever you travel. The galaxy will remember." Ethan stepped onto his ship, the glowing device cradled carefully in his hands. As the engines powered up, the city stretched below him, alive, radiant, and full of life. He looked back one last time at the queen, her form shimmering in the morning light, and then lifted into the sky. As the stars unfolded before him, Ethan felt a deep sense of purpose. Humans were young, fragile, and often underestimated. But their spark, courage, empathy, creativity, and intuition could light the darkest corners of the galaxy. And he, as a representative of his kind, would carry that spark wherever he went. The journey ahead was uncertain, full of challenges and mysteries, but Ethan felt ready. Humans were not just another species in the universe. They were remarkable, and now the galaxy would see it too.